At TAS TV, every dream deserves a chance. We believe that the next great presenters and reporters starts with an opportunity.
A very good afternoon and thank you for joining us for 3 p.m. news. I'm Jacqueline Accord.
And I am Victoria Mnyazi.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TAS, mimi ni Komen Masi.
That is why our attaches aren't just here to learn. They are given priority to create, host and deliver real television shows.
What's up? Karibuni sana kwenye sayari ya mapenzi.
And welcome again to the final whistle whereby football never sleeps.
Karibuni sana hapa kwenye Urban Connect.
We will be welcoming you to our show that is the Sabbath Welcoming. Here, talent is discovered, skills are sharpened, and confidence comes alive on screen. Contact us on +254 798 154 042 or send us an email at tastvkenya@gmail.com. You can also visit us at Nema Plaza, 2nd floor along Kenyatta Highway in Thika Town. Join TAS TV, where your dream is our vision.
This week on News Recap, politics took a new turn.
DCP blames the government of not delivering what they promised.
Health concerns sparked a fresh conversation.
The big question remains to Kenyans. Is SHA still working?
Security issues continued to make headlines. And groundbreaking discoveries captured global attention. These are the stories shaping our world. News Recap, where the week's biggest story come together. This week on News Recap, politics took a new turn.
DCP blames the government of not delivering what they promised.
Health concerns sparked a fresh conversation.
The big question remains to Kenyans. Is SHA still working?
Security issues continued to make headlines. And groundbreaking discoveries captured global attention. These are the stories shaping our world. News Recap, where the week's biggest story come together. This week.
Good afternoon and welcome to the News Hour. It is yet another beautiful Wednesday on the 12th of August 2026. I'm Macharia Madhenge. Stay with us to start right after this.
This week on News Recap, politics took a new turn.
DCP blames the government of not delivering what they promised.
Health concerns sparked a fresh conversation.
The big question remains to Kenyans. Is SHA still working?
Security issues continued to make headlines. And groundbreaking discoveries captured global attention. These are the stories shaping our world. News Recap, where the week's biggest story come together. This week. This week on News Recap, politics took a new turn.
DCP blames the government of not delivering what they promised.
Health concerns sparked a fresh conversation.
The big question remains to Kenyans. Is SHA still working?
Security issues continued to make headlines. And groundbreaking discoveries captured global attention. These are the stories shaping our world. News Recap, where the week's biggest story come together. This week on News Recap, politics took a new turn.
DCP blames the government of not delivering what they promised.
Health concerns sparked a fresh conversation.
The big question remains to Kenyans. Is SHA still working?
Security issues continued to make headlines. And groundbreaking discoveries captured global attention. These are the stories shaping our world. News Recap, where the week's biggest story come together.
A new political equation could be taking shape within Kenya's opposition ahead of the 2027 general elections. Former Kakamega Senator and DCP party leader Cleopas Malala now claims that party leader Rigathi Gachagua is ready to support Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna presidential ambitions. The claim comes at a time when opposition leaders are still negotiating how to unite against President William Ruto in 2027. Sylvia has more on this.
Malala says Sifuna has what it takes to lead a new political movement, arguing that the Nairobi senator could emerge as a strong presidential contender. According to Malala, Gachagua is also willing to support Sifuna's bid, although Gachagua himself has not publicly confirmed that position. The latest remarks add another layer to the increasingly fluid opposition politics ahead of the 2027 polls.
Mimi nimekuja hapa kwanza kwa ishara kwamba sasa hivi jamii ya Waluya imepata kiongozi na kiongozi wangu ni Edwin Watenya Sifuna. Mimi nimekuja hapa kwanza kusema huyu mtoto wetu anatosha kukuwa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya.
Sifuna has previously indicated that he would not rush into declaring a presidential bid, saying he first wanted to establish whether his Leader Mwananchi movement enjoys nationwide support.
Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua amenituma, amesema ako tayari kuunga mkono Edwin Sifuna. Mheshimiwa Rigathi amesema kwamba yeye hatafanya siasa ya hoteli, anaheshimu viongozi kama Sifuna ambao wanakuja kwa ground. Rigathi amenituma leo niambie wakazi wa Mumias kwamba yeye Rigathi Gachagua ako tayari kufanya kazi na kuunga Edwin Sifuna. Sasa Mheshimiwa Osoti, ukiona mimi nimekaa na huyo Rigathi, mimi sio mjinga. Mimi natafutia bro wangu kura. Sio maneno ya kusema mzima. Mimi niko ndani ya Sifuna za kuliko wewe.
Gachagua, who leads the Democracy for Citizens Party, has previously expressed willingness to work with Sifuna and his Leader Mwananchi team as part of efforts to build united opposition.
Ile majibizano iko pale. It is how to do it. As to what needs to be done, we are all in agreement that there will be one single presidential candidate. Na mimi Rigathi Gachagua, I want to assure the people of Kenya, I'm the unifying factor.
Malala's latest opposition is also a shift from his earlier proposal. In July, we had pushed for Sifuna to be considered for the deputy president position, arguing that the Western region should secure the running mate slot in a united position ticket.
Mimi naenda kukaa chini na ndugu yangu Edwin Sifuna akuje ashikane na Rigathi tutoe ujamaa.
The opposition's unity talks therefore remain a key factor as political parties position themselves for the 2027 general election.
Ni baadhi ya wale wamenilea ndani ya siasa. Nataka nimwambie Paranya nikiwa hapa Shinyanga, mimi nakuheshimu sana mzee, lakini ile kitu ambaye nataka kutoka kwako, hata kama ukubaliani na siasa zangu za Sifuna, nataka unipe baraka yako mimi niende hii safari.
And with Sifuna increasingly attracting attention beyond his traditional base, his next movement could have a significant bearing on the opposition's strategy. Reporting for TAS TV, I'm Sylvia Murugi.
Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has rejected calls by his critics for him to quit the government, insisting that senior leaders from the Mount Kenya region will remain in office to advance development and defend the Kenya Kwanza administration's track record. Speaking in Kandara, Murang'a County, Kindiki urged residents and leaders from the region to maintain unity and address political differences through dialogue instead of confrontation. John Mathia has more on this report.
Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has dismissed pressure from his critics to resign from government, saying leaders from the Mount Kenya region will remain in office to pursue development and defend the record of the Kenya Kwanza administration. Speaking in Kandara, Murang'a County, Kindiki called on residents and leaders to maintain unity and settle political differences through dialogue instead of confrontation.
Tunataka tuchukue nafasi ambayo tuko nayo serikalini kuboresha maisha ya wananchi, kusukuma maendeleo. Soko ikijengwa ni manufaa kwa wananchi. Stima ikiwekwa mahali haijafika ni manufaa kwa wananchi. Hiyo ndio kazi ya serikali. Hakuna kazi nyingine ya serikali. Na ndio tumeamua ya kwamba sisi zote tutashirikiana tutetee serikali.
Political and development issues took center stage during a Thanksgiving Mass at Gashanjiro Catholic Parish and celebrations marking 100 years of St. Raphael Catholic Hospital.
Kwa sababu siasa ni mashindano ya uongozi na ni ya muda, na ikipita sisi tutabaki tukiwa jamii moja, tutabaki tukiwa taifa moja. Usitumike kuvuruga amani ya jamii. Wale watapita watakuwa viongozi wetu, wale hawatafaulu pia hao ni viongozi, watangojea siku ingine Mungu atawajalia.
Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki used the gathering to respond to opposition calls for leaders from the Mount Kenya region to resign from government.
Mimi naomba kwa unyenyekevu hii jamii ya sehemu hii ya Kenya ambao tunaitwa watu ya Mount Kenya, mimi nawasihi tuendelee kukaa pamoja tukiwa kitu kimoja, na wakati kuna tofauti kidogo kidogo ya kisiasa tuongee hizo tofauti bila kuhujumu umoja.
Professor Kithure Kindiki urged political leaders to steer clear of divisive politics and personal attacks, saying political competition should be based on development achievements and ideas rather than insults. The Deputy President further appealed for unity across the Mount Kenya region, urging leaders and residents to use dialogue and consultation to address political differences. Among the leaders present were Lands Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome, Tourism Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano, and several secretaries who rallied support for President William Ruto's 2027 re-election campaign. Kindiki also revealed that contractors handling the stalled Mau Mau Roads projects had received full payment, clearing the way for construction to resume. The leaders also joined the church in raising funds to facilitate the upgrading of the Mission Hospital into a state-of-the-art health facility. Reporting for TAS TV, my name is John Mathia.
Sound. 2 years after the streets of Nairobi filled with young Kenyans demanding accountability, that same generation is now facing a different test, the ballot. It was a movement that took the country by surprise, as many Kenyans who have reached voting age but many not yet registered, turning frustration with the cost of living and government accountability into sustained street action. A generation which is now at crossroads between the placard and the ballot paper. Our reporter Macharia with more information.
2 years after Gen Z-led protests over the cost of living and government accountability swept Kenya, that same generation is now being asked to show up, not with placards, but with voter cards. Ahead of the 2027 election, IEBC has deployed mobile biometric registration kits to malls and campuses to reach first-time voters directly.
Information that was outside there was that the young people are not registering to vote, that the young people are only good when it comes to the matters street, when it comes to matters protest, when it comes to matters critic and online activism.
According to the youth advocate, the campaign has so far bore fruit.
You see, 2.6 million people registering 1 month has never happened in Kenya, to the point that IBC wakasema, by the way, bila hawa watu atunge pata hii success. In Kenya before 2024, politics was led to a certain group of people or a certain demography of people, and that was mostly the older people. Then 2024, 2025 happened, and everybody now is involved in politics actively.
But many young Kenyans remain skeptical. While protesting feels immediate and impactful, voting feels distant, and doubts persist over whether the process will fairly reflect their voice. Officials acknowledge this trust gap and say credibility must be proven through a transparent process, from registration through vote counting.
Kama tunauawa kwa maandamano, tuko na haki ya kulilia right zetu na pia kupigania Kenya tunataka.
Mimi ni first time, sasa pia nataka kuonja kuvote. Alafu pia inaweza saidia mandugu zangu kwa basari na pia kuchoose leadership mzuri.
Turnout among 18 to 25-year-olds has historically lagged older age groups, making this demographic pivotal for 2027. The real test isn't just registration numbers. It is whether a generation that found its political voice through the street mobilization can translate that energy into sustained civic participation.
Then kama itakuwa free and fair. But kwa mfano tukiamua tu sisi wote kinilifanywa kwa mfano kama Olkalau, kitu kama hiyo kifanyika kila base, inaweza kuwa free and fair.
The outcome over the coming months could shape not only the election result, but how young Kenyans choose to engage politically going forward, through the ballot, the streets, or both. Reporting for TAS TV, Thika Town, I'm Macharia, Madhenge.
Residents of Mount Elgon in Bungoma County are demanding answers following the killing of parliamentary aspirant Nathan Masai Wasama. Wasama was shot dead by a known gunman at his premises in Tuikut, Cheptaisis, with residents now linking his death to the region's political environment. Our reporter Sylvia has more.
Fear and grief have gripped residents of Tuituk in Cheptaisis, Mount Elgon, following the fatal shooting of former Chesikaki councillor and parliamentary aspirant Nathan Masai Wasama. Wasama was attacked at around 8 p.m. on Thursday by two armed men who reportedly opened fire before fleeing the scene. The 62-year-old businessman sustained multiple gunshot wounds and later succumbed to his injuries.
Kesi mwatumse umewawa. Sasa si kutubutu nione saa yote. Hapo nilisimia tu hivyo. Ndio kakuja wakanichukua na pikipiki, ndio wakanipeleka tu hospitali Cheptais. Mambo ya siasa tu, watu lazima wapanga, nataka nisimame ama nisisimame, lakini alikuwa anasema nataka asimame bunge. Msiko iko.
Police have since launched investigations to establish the circumstances and motive behind the killing. As detectives piece together the events surrounding the killing, residents and Wasama's family are raising questions over whether his political ambitions could have played a role.
This is pure politics. Na kama siasa tutaenda njia hiyo, and then how comes tutakapoenda huko 2027? Ni nini kitafanyika? Kama kila mtu sasa saa hizi anabuni kikundi chake cha kusaidia kupita kura. So hayo jamii naomba tu Waziri Murkomen atusaidie, angalie mlima.
Wasama had recently expressed interest in contesting the Mount Elgon parliamentary seat in the 2027 general election. His family says investigators should leave no possible motive unexplored, including political, business, and personal interests. However, police have not linked the killing to politics and say the investigations are still ongoing.
Wana watu ambao wako influential, watu ambao wana ideas tofauti, wanauawa kwa sababu tu ya kukuwa na a different ideology. So tungependa tu sana kuambia serikali ya kwamba waweze kuhakikisha ya kwamba hawa watu wameshikwa na wachukuliwa hatua.
Wale wanafanya hiyo maneno, president wetu anafaa wachukulia hatua, ndio wakuwe funzo kwa wengine na wasirudie hiyo tendo tena.
Waelimishwe vile watapata pesa zao bila kutishiwa maisha. Hata sisi pia tumetishiwa maisha, na hata watu wengine wamejipanga, wanasema ni maumau. Viti hatina vina haja, mradi watu wapate pesa zao.
Tuko zaidi ya makabila 42 na wakati hakuna uchaguzi tunakaa kwa amani. Inapofika sasa uchaguzi, tunaona CS wengi wakianza kutoa maneno, na hiyo ndio sio kazi yao. Kwa hivyo haya mambo wameanza kuchochea watu, inaweza kutuletea shida.
Bungoma County Police Commander Anderson Jagi says detectives have launched investigations and will pursue all available leads. Police have also raised concern over the proliferation of illegal firearms among civilians in the region, warning that a crackdown is expected. Reporting for TAS TV, I'm Sylvia Murugi.
Stay tuned as we take this short commercial break.
This week on News Recap, politics took a new turn.
DCP blames the government of not delivering what they promised.
Health concerns sparked a fresh conversation.
The big question remains to Kenyans. Is SHA still working?
Security issues continued to make headlines. And groundbreaking discoveries captured global attention. These are the stories shaping our world. News Recap, where the week's biggest story come together.
Ewenji waketi mwanzo, listen to my music. This message goes to you.
Hii ni Bonga na Katoni.
Baba ni maombi yangu.
Kipindi kinachokuza talanta za wasanii.
Kabla sijalala maute, heri nimwimbie Bwana wangu. Hata nikilala kaburi, nilale nikimngojea Bwana.
Fahamu mengi zaidi kuhusu safari za wasanii, michipuko ya talanta, azma za wasanii. Kwenye kipindi utabambika, utaburudika, utajijenga na utaelimika.
Hizo mbingu zikijawa sifa, haleluya yangu iwe ya kwanza. This is Scott Music na nasikiliza Bonga na Katoni live from TAS TV. Alafu kinitachi bila woga, nahisi niko salama. Mie wali nkufanye mboga, maana twaendana. Yo bana, mimi na go by the name J Liza, napenda kutegea kipindi cha Bonga na Katoni hapa ndani ya TAS TV kuanzia mwendo wa saa 9 hadi saa 10 pale kila siku ya Jumatatu.
Hata nikilala kaburi, nilale nikimngojea Bwana. Napenda kusikiza Bonga na Katoni kila siku Jumatatu kuanzia saa 9 hadi saa 10.
Kumbuka ni kila siku ya Jumatatu kuanzia saa 9 hadi saa 10 jioni. Tegea Bonga, maana bila bonga si bonga. Jiunge na Bonga.
A family in Gatundu North constituency in Kiambu County is grappling with a double tragedy after a middle-aged man allegedly killed his daughter before taking his own life. The man, identified as Benson Jogona, is reported to have been involved in a domestic disagreement with his wife, who had recently returned from abroad. 2 other children survived the incident as police begin investigations into what led to their deaths. Our reporter, Victoria Mianzi, has more.
A family gathering that should have been filled with warmth has instead become a scene of mourning. Friends, relatives and neighbors have gathered to comfort the family of Benson Njuguna following the deaths of Njuguna and his younger daughter in what police are treating as a suspected murder-suicide. Njuguna is also said to have been embroiled in domestic disagreements with his wife, who reportedly sought refuge at a neighbor's home following a quarrel. The couple's 3 children were left behind, with 2 surviving the ordeal.
Pata ile asubuhi ni mtu kujitoa uhai na akatoa mtoto wake. Hiyo kitu imetupiga toa, lakini hatuna la kunena. Mungu tu atufariji tu.
Tunahuzunika sana kwa sababu si kawaida kuona mtu kama huyu akichukua jukumu la kumtoa uhai mtoto wake, maana hata tuonangi sana mambo kama haya.
For neighbors who woke up to the shocking discovery, the events remain difficult to comprehend. The incident has once again raised concern among residents over cases of domestic conflict and violence within families. Community members are now calling for greater intervention, including counseling and support for couples experiencing marital difficulties.
Wale ambao wameingia katika ndoa, tungewasihi wanapokaribiwa na mambo magumu ya gender based violence wawe wakitafuta msaudi, kama ni mchungaji, kama ni mzazi, kama ni mzee wa nyumba kumi, kama ni assistant chief.
What began as a reported domestic disagreement has ended in the loss of 2 lives and left a family and an entire community in mourning. As residents come to terms with the tragedy, questions remain over what happened inside the household and whether the situation could have been prevented. Police have since launched investigations to establish the circumstances surrounding the deaths. Reporting from TAS TV, I am Victoria Mnyazi.
President Ruto has presided over the formal launch of the national conversation on Kenya's future beyond the Vision 2030 at the KICC in Nairobi. Among the speakers was Kisumu Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, who authored the strategic proposals underpinning the new plan. He told delegates the process must rise above next year's general election. He said development planning should not be disrupted by electoral cycles or changes in political leadership. Let's get more on that story.
We will hear more of these perspectives in the course of this day and in future conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, let me at this point spell out a key feature of this conversation. First, it must remain a national and an inclusive conversation about Kenya. Despite the fact that general elections are due in just about a year, this conversation is not about the next general elections. Indeed, one of the lessons that Kenya must learn from the countries that achieved socioeconomic transformation in recent history, in Asia, for example, is that long-term development goals must not be disrupted by electoral cycles and the political leadership that such elections bring up from time to time. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that we do not have a plan yet at this time, except for some guidelines on how to produce it. This meeting is therefore the first step in a journey that must not be rushed. Let us give ourselves reasonable time to have an inclusive conversation among Kenyans regarding the future of our nation. Let us join this national conversation with open minds and a shared sense of purpose to imagine and craft our collective future as one Kenyan people.
Thika MCA Ken Tams has reaffirmed his commitment to supporting farmers and empowering families across Kiambu County through agricultural initiatives. He said the program will continue providing farmers with essential farm inputs, including fertilizer, pigs and chicks, to boost food production, create income opportunities, and improve household livelihoods. Ken Tams noted that the initiatives are aimed at strengthening local and farming and helping families become more economically self-reliant. Let's get more on this story.
Kwanza ni kumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu aliyetupa uhai na pia kutuwezesha tuwe hapa. Jambo la pili ni gũcokia ngatho nĩ tondũ wa mũthenya ũyũ wa ũmũthĩ. Na hakĩrĩ o kaũndũ ndathoma mũthenya wa ũmũthĩ atĩ gĩtambaya gĩkĩ gĩtiohagwo arũme. Eguo kana tiguo? He hĩndĩ niĩ ndonire ciohetwo arũme. Koguo andũ acio nĩ mahĩtĩtie. Koguo nĩ mahĩtĩtie. Mũthenya wa kinya wa gũtua cira rĩ, ithe to mũkamatuĩra cira wao. Ngwenda kũgathĩrĩria gavana Kimani wa Matangi nĩ tondũ wa wĩra ũrĩa arutĩte Kiambu yothe. Makĩria wodi ĩrĩa ndongoragia ya Thika taũni. Na reke ndĩmwĩre andũ aitũ. Mũthuri ũyũ nĩ mũthuri wa bata. Nĩ mũthuri mwĩnyihia. Nĩ ona ndirĩ ndona gavana ũtarĩ mabonsa kana mabodyguard marĩa matindĩkaga mũndũ. Nĩguo kana tiguo? Nĩ mwendete gavana Kimani wa Matangi? Mũthenya wa Sunday gũtirĩ hĩndĩ itamwonaga kanitha-inĩ. Gavana, tunakushukuru sana nĩ tondũ wa kũnyitĩrĩra kiugo kĩega kĩa Ngai. Haiya. Nĩ mũrenda tũcui? Ndaigua mũtirenda tũkũrwe, nĩ mũrenda? Ndaigua mũtirenda fertilizer, nĩ mũrenda? Haiya. Ndaigua mũtirenda mbembe cia kũhanda, nĩ mũrenda? Koguo gavana nĩ araruta wĩra mwega. Kimani wa Matangi, ndamũrie kĩũria. Mwaka wa 2027, mwaka ũyũ ũroka, nĩ mũgathura gavana Kimani wa Matangi. Nionyesheni kwa ishara ya kuinua mikono, 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 mikono.
The newly registered People's Resistance Movement, PRM party, has officially been launched, presenting itself as a fresh opposition force seeking to challenge President William Ruto in the 2027 general election. At the same time, opposition leaders have accused the registrar of political parties of intentionally delaying the registration of Linda Mwananchi, claiming the move is designed to undermine and weaken the opposition. Let's take a look in the story.
Hereby launch the people's movement to deliver the country from economic liberation and to form a government of the people by the people.
We welcome the PRM party as the new kid on the one-term block.
We are looking to form alliances with radical, reform-minded political parties as we gear up to send this thieving regime to committee in the next 364 days.
We are also here to demand that the registrar of political parties allows registration of other parties that want to be registered, just the way this new party has been registered. But we also tell our brothers in Linda Mwananchi, don't waste time if they are blocking you. I'm sure Caleb Amisi and PRM is ready to welcome you to this new party.
Let us remember that the Renaissance Kenya needs cannot be delivered by one party, one leader, or one generation alone. It requires all of us. It requires unity of purpose of all leaders.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi has called on journalists to take their profession more seriously by maintaining higher standards of accuracy, professionalism, objectivity, and responsible reporting. He urged Kenyan media practitioners to emulate international broadcasters such as CNN and BBC, which are widely recognized for their professional approach to news gathering and reporting. Mbadi stressed the importance of credible journalism in informing the public and holding leaders accountable. Let's get more information about the story.
In fact, one thing that I would advise the media also to do now, going into election, which I see, and Seth, I'm not really faulting you, but I'm also faulting you, because I watch interviews, CNN, Al Jazeera. People are asked tough questions. Don't let politicians go scot-free with mediocre reasonings and arguments. When I stand here, please ask me tough questions. And that calls for serious research. All right, Seth? If I were you, you would have asked Rigathi what is not correct in the president's speech. Is fertilizer not returning at 2,500? Are you telling me that the price of unga now is 250 where it was in 2022? And that the statistics are there. Is it not cheaper than 250? Is the dollar, the shilling, not retailing at 129.3 to the dollar? The Kenya shillings? Don't we have a reserve of 15.3? Maybe he doesn't know. But can't he confirm from first check? You go to the data. Is it not true that 21.3 million bags of fertilizer are being distributed or disbursed compared to 1.4 million? Is it not true that now tea production is giving us revenue of 185, foreign exchange, 185 billion to 250? Last year, it was almost 215 billion. Is it not true that coffee has been revived? Is it not true that we have leased the 4 national factories for sugarcane production? Is it not true that the acreage under edible oil has moved from 60,000 hectares to 115,000 hectares?
That's our bulletin for today. For more on this and other stories, follow us on our social media platforms at TAS TV. And before I leave you with a word of wisdom. Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. I am Macharia. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.
This week on News Recap, politics took a new turn.
DCP blames the government of not delivering what they promised.
Health concerns sparked a fresh conversation.
The big question remains to Kenyans. Is SHA still working?
Security issues continued to make headlines, and groundbreaking discoveries captured global attention. These are the stories shaping our world. News recap, where the week's biggest story come together.